Welcome back. This is video 7 maybe? I don't know. There was another video 7 which I just recorded that somehow I just deleted before I uploaded it. So I've skipped a few steps here. Basically, I just went and looked at the last video that I recorded. We were working on the front door. I believe we put together the front door. No, we didn't. But I tell you what, I'm going to forge ahead because I'm not going to go back and fill in the blanks. Basically, we have two different front doors here. In that front door, I put the actual doors themselves on a different layer called 3D door, simply so later on I can change the material in the rendering to be different than the door or the glass, than the frame or the glass. Right now, I'm in the middle of making the garage door. I've made the frame, I've made half of the door, very similar to the front doors. I've set the door itself behind the frame, much like a garage door would actually be. And I was actually in the process of, if you look at this in 3D, I was making half the door, but I actually used the chamfer command, which works in 3D as well, to bevel the door so that, and I beveled the individual panels so that when I mirror these over, I have like a break between the panels and a break in the center, like the architect's drawings depict. I'm going to go ahead and looks like I need to subtract that out of the wall before I do anything. This is a little tricky because I was drawing half of the door. I'm going to mirror this over and extrude both of these. That's just the top panel. I'm going to go ahead and draw another rectangle over the outside of my frame. Extrude it through my front wall. Subtract it out. I've got my garage door here. I'm going to set my UCS to flat earth. I'm going to grab this thing by the front lower left corner and paste it in here. Again, blocks are nice because I click this door and I can move it or something. It's one object. I don't want 57 objects. It's nice to group them together. Alright, so looking at this thing, it looks like we've drawn all the major doors and windows. I think the next step is to build in the front of the building. So I want to basically build on these decks, these columns, and then eventually we'll get to the stone. I can erase my lines I use for my doors. First thing I'm going to do is look at the shape of the deck. Now, this is why we put all our layers on layer 3D. I'm going to turn layer off, all dash, or star dash, 3D star. That didn't work. Layer off, I'm sorry, 3D star. I'm just going to take a look at the shape of this porch. I can see it, follows back here. This porch would probably be the same level here, but then we're into steps, which we'll get to later. But I'm going to draw the porch for now. I'm going to do that by setting my UCS to the object, the front elevation. Again, now as I look at the drawings, there's a break line here, which tells me that this comes out further, but as I look at the plan, there is no break line. Some minor conflict in the architect's drawings, no big deal. But I'm going to kind of follow the plan here because I believe this more. So what I'm going to do is, he's got lines here for the joists and the actual decking. I'm going to draw a rectangle over just where the joists are shown. And I'm going to extrude that rectangle out using my elevation as a reference. I'm going to turn layer on 3D off, turn those back on. And it looks like I accidentally turned my side wall into the door layer, so I'm just going to fix that real quick with the match properties. My deck now is coming through my walls. I'm going to slice that on my XY plane and keep the front. I'm going to take a 3D look at this because something looks fishy. All right, now, okay, so what I'm going to do is, again, my geometry, you can see this line, but it's going through my wall. I just, you know, it's better if you don't do that. So what I'm going to do is draw a rectangle here, and I'm drawing on the front of things. Draw it up to some point here, extrude it back, and actually subtract that from my deck. So now I've got my deck shaped correctly. I'm going to go ahead and put this, I know it's a deck, but I'm going to put it on my 3D trim layer because it's going to be white. I mean, I don't know the colors of this thing, but I'm guessing the trim is going to be white. On top of that, I want a layer that depicts the decking. So I'm going to look at the architect's drawings. I'm going to do a distance command and see that this deck overhangs a 1/2 inch and it's 1.5 inches thick. I'm going to use a new command here. I'm going to copy the face of this solid. So I'm going to go up to my little icon bar here and look for this thing. Copy faces. I'm going to pick the top of there and see, I'm in the 3D view, so I probably picked some line back there that I can't even see. So what I'm going to do is go into my wireframe view and pick it, and I'm going to pick a blank space in the middle here so you can see it highlighted at the top of that. Great, it wants base points. I'm going to copy it over itself. And since I'm on layer 0, that new object, which is known as a region, which behaves like an infinitely thin 3D face at the moment, but I can actually extrude that, and I could extrude it, I could type 1.5 inches, or I could simply extrude it and use the front elevation as a reference. So I've got this new object, this white object on top of my deck. I also know that this sticks out a 1/2 inch, so I'm going to go ahead and use this offset faces command. I'm going to click the line between the two. You can see it selected both faces. And I have one more face, so I'm going to click this line here. Offset distance, 0.5. That's my deck board layer. So I'm going to put that on my 3D deck layer. Zoom back. Alright, so I've got a piece of decking. It looks like I have some stone columns holding this thing up with a little cap on that stone. I'm just going to start drawing rectangles. There's my stone pier. Now again, this stone, I didn't draw a line. I should have extended this stone all the way down to here as well, because I want that to go through the ground. In this case, I'm just going to use this point, and then let me go to wireframe mode. I'm going to move this so it's where the stone should be. So this is like my column at this corner. I'm going to extrude that out. I'm going to go look at this elevation and extrude it out to the edge of the column. Slice it on my XY plane and just keep the front. Now I've basically got my stone column there. Before I copy that to make the other two, because I'm sure they're identical, I'm going to go ahead and put this cap on top. So again, I'm going to use this copy face command. I'm going to copy that. And you can't see it, but there's another object there. If I go into my wireframe, maybe I can pick it. Okay, that's my region. I'm actually going to extrude that, and I'm going to use my elevation as a reference, probably 2 inches or whatever. That's probably another 1/2 inch overhang. So what I'm going to do is go into my offset faces. I'm going to click this and this and say 0.5. That kind of gave me a cap. So I've sort of got that column done. I could make that a block. It's too simple to make a block. So I'm just going to change the bottom to be on my 3D stone layer. And I've got a layer called 3D cap, which will be the capstone on that thing. It also looks like there's a gap between here and the deck, so there's a beam. We'll get to that in a second. But in the meantime, I'm going to copy the cap and the column using the front as a reference, perpendicular to this one and perpendicular to this one. that gave me my 3 columns. Presumably I'm going to have a beam come out to hold this whole thing up. I can maybe try to look at my plan to see if there's a beam drawn. I'd have to go look at the floor below, because usually the architects have the beams above on the floor below. For now, I'm going to draw this beam. You can do it 10 different ways, but again, rectangles can do most everything. So I'm going to draw a rectangle over this beam. I'm going to extrude that out. I'm going to use my side elevation as a reference to how far that beam goes. And this is telling me that beam is this thick. So I'm going to say slice, type L for last, which is the last object I did. Enter again, and I'm going to slice on my XY plane and just keep the front. Now I have, it's hard to see, as you start getting more objects, you start switching back and forth. I've got that beam drawn. For now, I'm going to put that beam on the trim layer. Alright, what's next? Let's do stairs. Stairs stink. That's the thing. You can draw the whole house in a few minutes, but the stairs might take you an hour. Alright, so again with the stairs, I'm kind of keeping an eye on the plan here to see, my stairs. I got a flight down, I got a landing, 2 more stairs, a landing, and another flight. So kind of a pain in the neck. I'm going to switch over to my first isometric view. Again, I've got this old garage door. I don't need it because I've already pasted it as a block. It's there. I want to keep things simple. Now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to draw, say, this lower landing first. Again, same thing as I did with the deck. I want to use my elevation as a reference. Slice that back. XY. Keep this landing. That's the lower landing. I guess I have an upper landing, which I'm going to do by changing my UCS to the side elevation, tracing the landing, not including the decking, extrude it out. I know it's going to be flush with this one. And I'm going to slice it XY to here. So I've got my upper landing and my lower landing. Now I need to draw the staircases. I'm going to set my UCS to the front by doing this. Look at my isometric. Now I'm going to trace the profile of the stairs. Again, I drew, I'm going to kind of overlap this a little bit and draw my ladder here. And I'll make the treads later. And again, I'm making the stairs as solid. I realize that these would probably be, stringers. We can hollow those out later and change them. But the profile is the same. It looks like I just messed that up. I'm going to break this polyline. Move my points down here. P-edit, close. So now I have the profile of stairs. I may see while I'm into drawing polylines if I can mirror this and move it to there. See if I can line it up so I don't have to draw all that again. And yeah, it almost lines up, but I may as well draw it again. There we go. To there, to there, to there, to there. It looks like I have some posts under these things. I might want to draw those first too while I'm into tracing things. Excuse me. Now my posts aren't drawn down past the ground, so I'm going to push these down, draw myself an X-line, and stretch them back up. Get rid of my X-line, copy this post over this post. These posts I'm going to want to extrude out to where, okay, so they're drawn as wood posts here, but on the side elevation they're drawn as stone. Again, people do things quick. Whatever. So I'm going to assume they're